Welcome to the hills south of Bologna, and welcome to the new convertible version of Ferrari's latest mid-engine supercar. It's called the 296 GTS. It's based on the 296 GTB. The B stands for Berlinetta. It's Ferrari's traditional nomenclature for hardtop coupes. S stands for Spider. So we've got the Gran Turismo Spider here. 296, 2.9 litre V6 engine. So that's the naming out of the way. What is this car? Essentially, the next generation mid-engine supercar with blue sky above your head. Not right now, and I'll explain why shortly, but let's just go through some facts and figures. How much does it cost? Starts at about £278,000 in the UK. It's a little bit more than the coupe, the Berlinetta, as you'd expect. Weight. Curb weight is up around 70 kilograms on the coupe, and that is a result of this hard folding roof and also some strengthening in the floor around the A pillar, B pillar, and the roof mechanism. So Ferrari won't say how stiff this the body in white of the convertible is compared to the coupe, but they do say that it's 50% stiffer than that of the old V8 convertible cars, so F8 Spider and the 488 Spider, which is pretty impressive. The funny thing about convertible mid-engine cars is that if you've got a bit of flex in the chassis, that can actually help them ride a little better, which isn't such a bad thing. Equally, too much flex and you're giving the suspension too much to think about. More importantly, the steering can get quite imprecise because the body's twisting this way and that. It's not perfectly secured like it is in the coupe. Powertrain, this is the big revolution for Ferrari. Having had V8s in its mid-engine supercars for a very, very long time, it's now gone to a twin turbocharged V6 with quite considerable hybrid assistance. So what that means is the car can actually decouple the engine and drive the electric motor through the gearbox, so you've got 15 to 20 miles of electric range in this car if you want, and that's actually what's happening now. We're just coming through a village, and as I've come out of the throttle and slowed down a bit, the car, because it's in its hybrid mode, is just sort of juggling the powertrains and has decided that it wants to go all electric. So we are in an incredibly fast and an incredibly powerful mid-engine Ferrari, but we are cruising along right now, more or less silently. Just how fast and how powerful this new 296 is something worth repeating. The car's compact twin-turbo V6 sits amidships and makes 654 brake horsepower, which on its own would probably be enough. However, there's a slim 164 brake horsepower electric motor that takes the total to a pretty extraordinary 819 brake horsepower. Every bit of it put to the rear wheels alone through an 8-speed dual clutch gearbox, and of course Ferrari's extremely clever electronically controlled limited slip differential, which essentially allows the car's handling to be as locked down or as playful as you like. As ever with Ferrari, there's loads of configurability. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to flick the powertrain from hybrid into performance mode, and what that does is essentially has the engine and the motor and the electric motor on standby at all times. So when it's in performance mode, the car won't drop into hybrid mode. It'll have engine on all the time, and it will feel a lot like a traditional mid-engine Ferrari supercar. And the reason I had the roof on is because obviously you can have the roof up, you can have the roof down, but there's actually a halfway house. What you can do is this screen just above the rear firewall, you can lower it just like this. And what that does, first of all, it's quite nice. Get a little bit of a breeze coming through the cabin, but mostly it just brings you a little bit closer to this engine. And I have to say, just have a listen to this. A nice thing to have. So when you don't want, maybe the sun's too bright, maybe it's a bit too cold, but you just want a little bit more involvement from the powertrain, that is a really nice trick. And I'm a little bit surprised, but they haven't done it on the Berlinetta actually, because these days the engine deck is actually flat. So by opening it, you wouldn't be sharing air with the engine bay, which is obviously not a great idea. So let's take the roof down and see how this car feels So how is the GTS to drive then? Truth be told, there's still daylight between this and something like a McLaren 720S Spider or 570S Spider in terms of that absolute precision and togetherness. This car's not quite on that level. What it does do though is it rides really quite nicely. It's got a lot of compliance. There's not much that phases it in terms of crap road surfaces, of which there are plenty out here. Being honest though, I think if you drove the coupe and this Spider back to back, you'd notice, but in isolation, it's really, really difficult to criticize. It's a car that feels together, and it's a car that gives you way more confidence than something with 820 horsepower has any right to. And that probably sounds like a bit of a cliche, because there's plenty of modern supercars that impart plenty of confidence. The chassis electronics these days are so sophisticated and effective, and the chassis balance is right on, and the electronics are all working in perfect harmony. And this is true not just for Ferrari, but obviously McLaren as well, and the Maserati MC20 is a really wonderful machine too. But there's something about this 296, the roll rates, the speed of the steering, the throttle response, the suppleness of the chassis. It's just dreamy, and you just carry more and more pace until it frankly starts getting pretty stupid. God, it is absolutely terrific. In terms of scuttle shake, there is some going on, but it's such a microscopic level, it hardly matters. I'd be really keen to try this car with the Assetto Fiorano pack, because the Magnaride dampers on that car are nowhere near as brutal as you might expect them to be. It's a pretty compliant car, and I think once you remove the roof and you've got all this performance and accuracy and speed and transparency, I think a 296 GTS with a Assetto Fiorano would be absolutely formidable, but equally you don't need it. You simply don't need that package. This is a car you could tour in quite happily, but on a B road, you can absolutely uncork it, and it's with you every step of the way. Slower, sort of slow, medium, second, third gear corners. If you come in a bit too hot, you just pick up a little bit of understeer. It's all very confidence inspiring. And yet, if you get the entry right, the car just wants to rotate underneath you. It's been set up absolutely beautifully. I don't know if the geometry on this car is the same as the coupe 296. This engine though, being totally honest, it's not an engine that properly puts the hairs on your neck on end, but it comes very, very close. Way closer than any other turbocharged V6, certainly I've experienced. It's a real stunner, and then that breadth, just torque everywhere, and then power right at the top. I've got the dampers in race at the moment, so that's their slightly stiffer setting, which you kind of need for a slightly more challenging road. The standard sports setting, which you can select here on the Manatino, is probably what you're looking for just sweeping A roads and then obviously long distance work. And the car, as I've said, it really floats in a very relaxing fashion for something with such rampant performance. It's not a car that sort of threatens to get away from you as your commitment levels rise. It's just with you all the way. It's actually quite shocking that a convertible car that doesn't have a carbon tub just feels this cohesive. And the GTB is even better. It's a stunning thing. It's a stunning thing. And that's the thing. The GTB is a better driver's car than this open-air GTS, no surprises there. But the difference is very, very small, and in truth the 296 GTB can afford to give a little bit away in terms of precision. It's not a supercar defined by lap times and all-out attack, or by the way it can adapt to and entertain on almost any road, by its fluidity and how easily you can use its massive performance. Going roofless only ups the entertainment factor, yet with the GTS you're still getting the same superbly intuitive supercar as with the GTB. Is this the best of its kind? Possibly. Stand by for the upcoming McLaren Artura Spider. And don't forget to like and subscribe to Autocar's YouTube channel in the meantime.